Here are five ways for you to activate your mediumship abilities. These are the foundational things that I think everyone needs to know. And if it's something where you're already connecting and communicating to spirit, but you also have these things underway or that haven't been quite figured out yet, you'll want to get into this. You'll want to understand those things. This is the foundational layer. So, hi, my name is CJ Amanda. I'm a psychic medium. I'm also a mentor to other aspiring mediums or those who have already stepped into mediumship but looking to do it their own way. I'm paving a path to elevated mediumship, elevated energetics. We are looking at mediumship from a whole new vantage point. It's a new era. What are all the cliche ways in which I can say this? But it's like this new way of understanding this paradigm of what mediumship is, where the old way is all about entertainment, is about the shock and the awe. It's about the fear, the curiosity of looking into what ghosts are, what the discarnates are, the spirits, our departed loved ones, the healing, the messages that are coming in, what they're saying. But elevated mediumship means that we're looking at a greater psychic context. It means that we are no longer depleted in our energy because we are tuned into spirit. It means that we're not at the beck and call of every spirit that comes in. It means that we command this connection. We don't allow spirit to lead that for us. We are not depleted by the grief that comes in, the emotions that come in from the pain of the departed or those who are experiencing that loss. It means that we're able to hold this greater space for others and facilitating this healing work. We are able to connect to beings beyond just spirit world to help us facilitate these connections to the greater aspects of what it means on our soul journey. So are we connected to the right guides, the spirit teams on the other side as mediums? Do we understand how to tune into the different frequencies of psychic realms? Do we understand what to do all of that with that and how to infuse that into our mediumship so that we can truly live our soul purpose and help others do the same? Like, are we doing all those things? That's the mediumship that I show and that I teach. Okay. And by the way, before I tell you exactly those five things that I highly recommend you look at to begin to activate your mediumship abilities, know that a little announcement in September, we are beginning my 4-month mediumship program. I run it live. This is not just theory. This is not just me throwing theory at you and for you to sit with it and figure out how to utilize this. This is me showing you step by step how you are meant to be connecting to the other side, what your mediumship is supposed to look like, how to tune into the different frequencies, how to read energy, how to manage your energy. I'm showing you mediumship the way in which we're meant to be doing it in this new era. Okay, so I'm showing you there's no other mediumship program alike, and I can't wait to run it again. The alumni from the last one, they've just, all those who've been, in my world, in the mediumship program, have just done amazing things since and tuning and doing it in such different ways. There's not one medium who is alike, and that's what gets to be the beauty of this, is that we all get to come together, witness one another and how we're meant to be experiencing mediumship, all in learning all the foundations together and understanding and really seeing how it unveils for each person, because it's going to look different for everyone. So I bring you through that process. I show you how to do that for yourself. There's practicals, there's tuning into spirit, there's there's all of that stuff. I show you. It's very experiential. We have so much fun. There's so much depth to it. I can't wait. So if you want early bird pricing, now is the time to get in. Message me. I'll put the links below. And then you can join us in the new cohort for this expansive program. I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay, so let's get into this. Here are the 5 things that I want you to consider as you begin to activate your gifts. And these are things that are absolutely going to help you activate those gifts to a very clear and better level of understanding what mediumship means to you. Okay, so the very first thing is to understand the language of how to discern between what the different things are. And what I mean by that is of what's the difference between our intuition, what psychic is, and what mediumship is. Because oftentimes we will hear things, we will learn things, we will, experience things from spirit, signs, synchronicities, the 111s, the 222s, the bird that flew. I may see like a shadow in my house. I may see something on the corner of my eye. And I don't know how to kind of categorize all that stuff into my world and make it make sense. So first of all, we need to begin to understand how we understand the psychic world and what that means and what it all looks like. We could start understanding what's what. So as we navigate through the path, we know what it is that we're dealing with, quote unquote. So your intuition, and this is how I define it. So as long as you understand this in some way or another, if you weren't using the words for it in the way that I'm using it, doesn't matter. We just want to understand the distinction between these things on an energetic level. So intuition, I see this as that inner guidance for yourself. It is that direct line to your soul. It is that direct line to your soul and what you're meant to be doing, and that guidance that is unique to you. So, this is not guidance that you'll receive for your neighbor, for your friend, for anyone else. This is really how you're meant to be tuning in and doing the things and aligning to the energetics that you're meant to be doing. And that same guidance will not work for somebody else because it's definitely meant for you. So, that is that inner guidance, that intuition, that intuitive nudge that is you, that is meant for you. That is your energy. This is everything, your chakras, your energetic body, your aura, everything that is comprised of your energy, your connection to your soul. This is all of that intuitive understanding, that intuitive guidance that is coming in. Okay. Psychic means that we're connecting to energy that is outside of ourselves. So, connecting to energy that is outside of ourselves, that is not related to us. And so, we are not blending the two. That is what's really important. There is psychic information, information outside of us, and then there is the intuitive information that we receive that is unique to us. Are we using the same psychic faculties, as in, am I hearing it? Am I seeing it? Does it mean that if I see it, it's psychic, but it's not intuitive? No, it means that we use all of those same, I call them faculties, to be able to receive both informations, whether it's intuitive or psychic. It's just, what are we tuned into exactly? So you want to understand the difference between all these things. Is this guidance that I know when I tune into it, I know that this is for me, this is meant for me? Or when I'm tuned to something outside of myself, I know that that's psychic because I'm reading energy that's outside of myself. It's not related to me, even though I may be sensing it in the same way in which I receive my intuition, which is maybe I'm seeing something, I'm hearing something, I'm feeling something, I'm sensing something. So this is such an important difference to make, because some people may be absolutely extraordinary at tuning into psychic energy that's outside of themselves, but have lost that connection to self. And so where they feel that they get insights for others, they may feel absolutely lost in knowing where to take that next step of how to tune into that aligned soul guidance for themselves. And so if you understand this about yourself, you won't just write yourself off as not being intuitive or not being psychic or not being able to have an extraordinary connection. You're going to know where your limitations are, where you're blocking yourself, so that you're not limiting your continued expansion into the work that you're meant to be doing just because you're continuing to work on yourself on a deeper level because you haven't quite created that connection to yourself yet. Okay. Intuitive, psychic. Very important to understand the difference, but on a energetic level, not so much the mental, on an energetic level. Mediumship is a specialization, if I can say that, a type of psychic work. So we are tuning into energy outside of ourselves, but so that psychic work, but it is a specialization. It is a type of psychic work. So psychic is that umbrella term for this work of connecting to energy outside of ourselves, and mediumship is specifically connecting to spirit, to our departed loved ones, to the energies that have once lived on this earth. That is going to be important to specify, because there are conscious beings that have not incarnated on this earth. That's another subject for another time. And I wouldn't necessarily call that mediumship. I would say tuning into psychic energy that we can infuse into mediumship, but we have to understand the differences between these frequencies, okay? So understanding that flare means that, hold on, if I'm connecting to spirit and I feel that I keep getting messages from grandma, or I keep getting messages for my friend about their loved ones, but I'm not able to tune into psychic predictions. I'm not able to tune into timelines and figure out how to help my friend or whatever, a client on X, Y, and Z situation. Why? Shouldn't it just be, if I have access or not? I either know everything or nothing. I either have these gifts or not. And no, because mediumship is that specific frequency of tuning into loved ones. I know that, or humans, I should say humans, but loved ones. So I have, I know people who are very brilliantly talented psychics, but that do not tune into it's a spirit world or to spirits very, very strongly, just because it's not part of their soul path. It's not what they're meant to be doing. It's not part of their giftings. Some psychics may be able to tune into it, but choose not to. But for everyone who is a medium, you must be psychic. You must know how to use your psychic abilities to be able to be a medium, but not every psychic is a medium. Okay. So those distinctions are going to be important to understand and know. This is why we get so confused with all the different things that we experience, because we just don't know how to categorize it, or we blanket statement everything. We think if you have this gift, you must be able to do all the other things. No, there are distinctions throughout all of this. There are nuances, there is depth, there are specific ways in which we can connect that we may be absolutely potent and brilliant at, and other ones that we just need to develop a little bit more, and that those do not give blanket generalizations about our gifts as a whole, just because we didn't understand these differences to start off with. Okay, so in understanding these distinctions, you can begin to navigate this path more clearly. Okay, that's number one. Number two, that busy mind. That busy mind will get you in the way, will keep you from that direct connection to the channel that you have to connect to psychic gifts, to connect to spirit. So we want to really understand what our mind is doing and what our mind is saying. We want to understand what it feels like. We want to understand how it operates or even leads in our life. So if you're someone, which I was very much like this, if you're someone who loves to read, learn, understand things, really get to the bottom of things, really use your mind to craft understandings, to dive deeper, to make sense of things, that is incredible for knowledge, but it may hold you back in terms of your psychic mediumship abilities, because we are tuned into the mind rather than opening up that receptor, that channel of receiving information. So when we receive information, we want to make sure that's a clear channel. We want to make sure that's coming in flawlessly and not being mixed into our own energy. So not being filtered by our logical mind. This can happen so much where we receive a visualization, we receive something in our mind's eye, and we try to make sense out of it. So if we see something like a heart, we see something, a heart, a heart image in our mind's eye, our logical mind will either try to figure it out of saying, wait, hold on, is this a pulmonary problem? Is this something with their heart space? Is this something like a physical problem? Is this something of they feel sad? Is it, like, we're trying to make sense out of it. So we're trying to prescribe what that must mean. We try to give meaning and interpretation through our minds. And this is where it may be the hardest thing, but as we're receiving information, we want to just accept it for what it is rather than trying to make sense out of it. So to help you with that busy mind, or to get your mind out of the way, is to first understand how it's operating, of how it's taking up space in your life, of how it feels. So I will often say, do a math equation. That's where like the logical mind really comes into play. Do a math equation in your mind and see how it feels like. Really see how it feels like. Where is it in your mind? Is it in the frontal lobe? Is it on the side? Do you feel a certain tensing or pressure coming in as you go to figure out that math equation? Notice how that feels like, so that if ever you're channeling or receiving information and you feel that same sensation of trying to figure it out, of creating that pressure or that sense, then I'm most likely in my logical mind. So understanding the busy mind, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's in psychic world, whether that's mediumship or not, the busy mind is going to be one of those things you want to master, that you want to understand, that you want to get out of your own way, that you want to journal out all the excess thoughts that are in there that are trying to make sense of, and recognize when it's coming in and trying to lead. This is something I say like as if it's super easy and we just need to get out of the way. But if we've always programmed ourselves to be led by the mind, it can be quite the feat. So I want you to have compassion and patience for that journey, but in understanding, we want to create that awareness. We want to be hyper aware without getting into our mind about how our mind is operating. So the more that we feel it, we understand it, we know it, we have awareness for it. Instead of judging it, we just create that awareness to be able to say, great, this information came through my mind. It is not necessarily that full, pure channeled answer, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm just creating awareness here. So that is going to be an important step number 2 around activating your mediumship abilities, especially because with spirit, especially, there's so much nuance in the energies, and each spirit that comes up has a different energy to them, quite honestly. So I have, with this spirit come through and they're going to communicate this way. The second spirit comes through is going to be a whole other experience. And so if we're not trusting our channeled abilities and we're literally just leading with the mind around spirit experience must be like this, must feel like this, then we're always going to limit our capacities to truly tune into the pure energetics of it. So being able to master your mind, very, very important. Master the busy mind. Okay. Number 3, we want to be able to begin to recognize energy and frequency. So this is where, and I might even combine this as a 3-4 type of step, because we also want to be able to accept how you connect. And the accept how you connect will really help you to begin to define all these different frequencies that are coming in. And what I mean by this is that, again, especially for mediumship, and your mediumship abilities, is that, like I just said, each spirit that comes forward will be different. They will be different. And this is a thing that frustrated me with mediumship at the beginning, because when I would use my psychic abilities and tuning into like the angel energies, like there might be a different energy in terms of, between Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, like, Archangel Gabriel, like all of those things, they had different frequencies to it. But ultimately, when I was tuned into angel energy, the connection, the way in which I connected to that energy was very, very similar. Spirit world, a whole other ball game. And I did not like that. So what I had to do is very much surrender to the experience and accept how I connect, and also tune into the different energies and frequencies that were coming in. So this is 3 and 4, very important because they go hand in hand. So what that means, that when I received an experience, let's say I had one of my first experiences that came through was a beloved mother of someone who I knew growing up. It was my friend's mother who passed away. She came to me in a very physical way. Footsteps coming down the side of my bed, waking me up in the middle of the night, hearing songs, hearing like all these things that I can validate and show my friend and explain. And it was just such this visceral experience on a physical level. That's how spirit came in for me in one of my first experiences, as I was reopening my gifts up again in a different way. And then I would have other type of experiences that were not at all physical, that didn't have this physical apparition. It was truly through my third eye. And it was to understand and begin to know the difference between all of these things, and not say that, it's invalid, like this is not a true mediumship connection if it's not physical, if there's not a physical apparition, or if I have, they're connected through the third eye, if they're not saying anything, and I don't hear them, but I'm only seeing something, that this is also invalidating that connection. No, we want to know what that looks like, or to understand the different levels of vibration. So is this a high level spirit, or is this a spirit with very low energy? And to start to understand and tune into all the differences in the ways in which spirit not only communicates, but how they hold themselves, what type of energies do they have? Do I need to help spirit to be able to bring them in and speak to me? Can I hold space for them? Can I help them to communicate? Like there's all these things about it. And so if I am trying to, all to say, if I'm trying to prescribe the way in which spirit must communicate with me, I am just always going to be kind of going in circles, going in circles. It's never really going to come in that clear channel, because I'm always trying to prescribe how it must come in, instead of simply accepting how it is coming in, accepting how I am receiving the information in this time, and surrendering to that. So we want to start to note down what we're experiencing. What does this experience feels like? And you could even note down the fears that you have to see where your mind is getting in the way. Going back to, number two is what is coming up? What are the fears? Do I feel like I'm just in my mind? What are the judgments that I have, to really get that out of the way and start just accepting how we are receiving that experience, whether it is something that we feel like we should get more information, or there's just too much energy at the same time. We want to notice all of that, okay? Because the more that we have that awareness, the more that we're going to be tuned to not only how to communicate the spirit, but knowing how we are reacting to energy. And that is the most pivotal thing in being able to continue our journey as a medium, is having that self-awareness, is having that understanding of how our energy is operating and reacting to spirit, and also what to do with all the information coming in, how to begin to start creating your own library of sorts of how you're receiving information, of what things mean. And that'll start helping you as well to read the energy. So all of that surrendering, the accepting how you're connecting, that start tuning into and recognizing what you're receiving, how it feels like in that moment, and surrendering to how it's all different, it's really going to help you understand how you're connecting and activating your abilities to that next level. So I would even get a notebook. I have so many notebooks, but I would even get a notebook and start writing down your experiences, or how you're connecting, or what it felt like. Did it just feel like you knew something this time, and the next time that you have a spirit connection, it feels like there's just so much information coming in? Why was that vastly different? Sometimes we're judging ourselves and our abilities when it's really just because we're recognizing the difference in spirit connection. Okay. And the very last thing, number 5, is to make sure we're doing our healing work. If we want to be able to hold our energy to a specific standard, and be able to hold our energy at a place where we can tune in and have clear communication with the other side and know what we're connecting to, then we must be able to release to our best abilities, all that is dense and heavy within us. So that means that we must be committed to that healing journey so that we can raise our vibration and operate from a whole new level, be able to sustain connections so much longer. So instead of tuning in and then 2 seconds later, you just feel like you're out of it again, or you have to reconnect every single time, this working on that healing work and raising your vibration will really truly help build that muscle of activating your psychic and mediumship abilities. Okay, so much more on all of these. I hope this has been helpful. Write a comment below of what it is that you would love to know more about around mediumship, of how to tune in, how to tap in, what specifically about mediumship. If there's anything of these 5 points where you want more clarity on, let me know in the comments and I will be sure to deliver. And if you want to just go in fully and become a medium and do it the way in which, through the elevated energetics that I teach, then join us. Contact me, let me know. We are beginning in September and the early bird pricing is on now. Okay, so I can't wait to reconnect. We'll talk soon and have a great day.